In this lesson, we're going to continue to explore new testing techniques, and the goal here is to figure out how we can mock our NPM modules. So the process of mocking is the process of replacing the real functions that run with functions that you create when we're running in a test environment. Now, why might that be something we ever want to do? Well, let's think about what all of this code actually does. We run various endpoints like the one for signing up and the one for deleting accounts, and we know that when both of these execute, emails are sent behind the scenes. Emails are sent to email addresses that don't exist and will never be checked, and that alone might not be the worst thing. The problem, though, is that we're constantly rerunning our test cases, which means we're just racking up unnecessary emails being sent from our SendGrid account. Now, if we're on the free plan, that means we don't have many free emails to send, and if we're on a paid plan, that means we're wasting money on emails that'll never be opened. With mocking, we can make sure that when our program is running using jest, we don't actually send those emails off. Let's get started by creating the directory where we can store our mocks. So right inside of the tests folder, if we're trying to mock an NPM module, what do? We create a mocks directory. Now it starts with 2 underscores. That's 2 there, not just 1. Then we type out mocks in lowercase, then it's 2 more underscores. This is the directory name that jest is going to look for. Now in here, we can create files for the individual modules we're trying to mock. So if I wanted to mock something like JSON Web Token, I would create JSONWebToken.js in the mocks directory. In this case, we're trying to mock the module used right here. That is at SendGrid/mail. Now right here, they are using @ followed by the organization, then / the individual utility. This is known as npm scope, and all that means for us is that we're going to create a directory with this name inside of mocks. Then in that folder, we'll create a file with this name and the JS extension. That will allow us to mock out the functionality, providing our own versions of set API key and send to use when running in test mode. So right here, let's get that done. In the mocks folder, we'll create a new folder at SendGrid. And in the SendGrid directory, we'll create a new file, this one, mail.js. Now, it's important that when we're mocking out a module, we provide all of the things that that module needs in order to work. So our application code is expecting things like set API key and send to actually exist. So if we're going to mock that module out, we need to provide our own versions of all of this so the code at least doesn't fail. So right here, that means we need to export an object with those properties on it, because that's exactly what SendGrid is doing. We get an object back with those properties sitting right on it. So over here, we'll actually kick things off by using module.exports and setting it equal to a new empty object. And on here, we'll provide set API key and send. Now down below, you'll actually notice that our test suite is failing, and if we scroll up, we can see why. Right here, test suite failed to run, and that's referring to our user test suite, and the reason is that sgmail.setAPIKey is not a function, and they're right. Now the reason this is happening is because we've provided a mock for that module, but we're not exporting an object with that function defined, so let's fix it. Right here on this object, I'm going to set a value for set API key. I'll go ahead and set it equal to a new function. And I'll do the same thing down below for the other method we're using, send. Now, if we were using even other methods from the module, we would want to mock those as well. Now, when it comes to mocking, you could choose to accept arguments and then return some sort of fixed value. In this case, in account.js, we pass in arguments like the email to be sent or the API key to be set, but we don't do anything with the return value, so there's actually no need to do anything inside of these functions. All this is going to do is allow the functions to be called over here, but in reality, nothing is happening behind the scenes, and that's good. In the test environment, no API keys will be set, and no emails will get sent. Now if I go ahead and save mail.js, we'll see that our test suite does restart, and this time it should be brought back to its working state, and it is. Now, if you want to learn more about mocks, as always, it's defined in the documentation like everything else we've explored related to Jest. Under Guides in the sidebar, there's a page called Manual Mocks, which covers everything we just talked about. Right here, Mocking Node Modules outlines what we just did. So that's where we're going to stop for this one. I wanted to introduce the concept of mocking, allowing us to not send those emails from our test environment, though we won't be using them for anything else in this test suite. The nice thing now, though, is that as our test suite reruns, we're not going to be wasting our limited emails that we can send off. All right, that's where we're going to stop for this one. I'm excited to continue on, so I'll see you in the next lesson.